Hello, Internet! I'm Deletru, and welcome to my Minecraft Bedrock world on the Nintendo Switch. I've been playing on this world for over 3 years now, so I'd like to share my farms and other things that I use to survive and thrive. The Switch is not a powerful computer, so we have many limitations, including slow terrain generation, making it impossible to fly long distances, limits to having too many mobs in one area, and in general we cannot build mega bases or large industrial zones. But I believe you can still have the full Minecraft experience despite being on an underpowered device, and I'd like to share my single-player world progress to showcase just that. Take note that this isn't a full world tour. That will take too much time. Instead, this will just highlight the farms I've made on a practical and personal scale for Bedrock Edition, something that's rather rarely made on YouTube. There will also be intermediate to advanced mechanics that I won't explain, such as Minecraft spawning rules and redstone. I'll leave links to the farms and redstone circuits if you want to learn more. Hopefully, with this video, people get inspired to build, explore, and play Minecraft more, no matter what device they have. And with that, let's get started. First of all though, let's talk about a farm that doesn't work anymore. This is my first ever farm, the chicken cooker. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore on Bedrock Edition. In Java, the farm still works, but in Bedrock, the cooked chicken now drops slightly higher than before, which means the lava blade above will destroy it. For early game, I would recommend just going with a normal chicken farm, slaying chickens and cooking them. And for late game, I have a better way to get food now. The next thing I built was this massive trading hall. This hall was based off from Silent Whisper's design. While it worked for the most part, when there were too many villagers, they started to glitch through walls and I also had frame rate issues. Eventually, to combat glitching and frame rate loss, I took out most of the redstone and stopped adding villagers altogether. This build was definitely too big and I learned not to make such huge projects because it took so much time and the Switch can't handle large amounts of entities anyway. While fancy, I would not recommend building Silent Whisper's trading hall design. Just using minecarts and rails should be enough to move and store villagers. A smaller hall with fewer villagers and no redstone will be much faster and easier to make. But I am grateful for Silent Whisperer because I learned Bedrock villagers from him and his build tutorial. Let's now talk about the farm that broke the game's difficulty from hard to very easy. This is the Zombie Piglin XP farm. This is unique to Bedrock Edition and will not work on Java. When another portal is lit, a zombie piglin can spawn as an Easter egg, with a bigger chance the larger the portal. But we can turn on and off 2 large portals to force several piglins to spawn. The rapid turn on and off mechanism is pretty simple. A lava cage with trapdoors spreads fire to the portal, even if the trapdoor doesn't burn. With lots of trapdoors, the portal is almost instantly and automatically lit. Then a dispenser quickly places down and picks up a water tile, breaking the portal. We use 2 observers facing each other as the on and off trigger for the dispenser. With a Trident kill chamber, a kill chamber also unique to Bedrock Edition, we can AFK for a short time to gain EXP to repair and enchant tools, and use the looting enchantment to get more mob drops. The piglins drop gold ingots, gold nuggets, and rotten flesh, and I use an Impulse SV item sorter to put them into their own containers. But the piglins also drop a very important item, enchanted gold swords. While usually useless, combined with the XP from the farm, you can combine all the enchanted swords into a super gold sword, and all enchantments except mending are available. The sword does decent damage to enemies thanks to Sharpness 5, lasts a lot longer because of Unbreaking 3, can repair itself after combat with mending, and has looting 3 for maximum drops. It also has fire aspect to cook animals instantly. This sword can be easily made and removes the need for me to farm food and certain enemies because fighting the naturally spawned mobs makes them drop so much already. I highly recommend this farm as it will last you from endgame to beyond. The next farm I made was a simple automatic wool farm. Wool has a lot of uses, but I only made it for 2 sheep as I didn't need too much wool, and I only needed red and white for now. If we head south of the base, we'll see a scaffold that leads down to another important farm, the skeleton and spider spawner. I am very lucky to have both of them in one spot. I made these farms before 1.17, so I did not have tinted glass to show off the inside. The farms are very simple lava and magma traps. They don't even have a way to use a looting sword, but they provide plenty of materials already. The skeleton farm is very important, as bone meal is used in making materials for both building and villager trades. However, a moss bone meal farm is now possible, so you don't have to find a skeleton farm anymore. I highly recommend building farms around spawners, or if you don't have a skeleton spawner, build a moss farm as early as mid-game. A small farm I've neglected to mention is a small snow golem snow farm. Because the ground around the rivers are considered warm biomes, I had to put it in such a strange spot. White blocks that aren't wool are very useful. I used the bright white snow blocks as replacement for white concrete all the time, as they're way easier to make. I made a fast food restaurant in another server, and I liked it so much that I built a copy to my world. But since it had no function, I decided to make it into the cow barn. I never needed to breed more though, as killing random cows, horses and llamas with looting already provided enough leather. Before we continue with the rest of the main base, I'd like to travel first to 2 beta bases, where other farms were built earlier. This is my Froglight farm, and the only farm to be built in the Nether. Building this was so hard because of the lava and constantly spawning magma cubes that I just decided to switch to peaceful while building it. Froglights are important to me because they're very easy to farm solid light blocks. I don't like how torch spams look, so I cover Froglights in green carpet or sandstone, allowing them to light up the base without being visible. Welcome to my beta base, 3,000 blocks away from the main base. Here we have a geode farm, which I won't show because it's just a geode uncovered, and a few more farms. This is my honeycomb farm. It's a small farm that has redstone to harvest the honeycombs. Yellow blocks are rather rare in Minecraft, so this is nice to have. 500 blocks north is my rather unusual guardian farm. This underwater temple spawned with earth blocks on top of it, and a quarter of the temple is destroyed by terrain. Only a single elder guardian spawned here. This means that most of the guardian spawn spots have already been blocked out, or even deleted. This is perfect for a small-scale guardian farm, and I can easily get good rates by just blocking out the remaining guardian spawn spots, and positioning myself above my selected guardian spawner. The farm works by positioning your spawn sphere to activate the guardian spawn spot and nothing else, with the drowned immediately being despawned if they moved a little too far. A trident kill chamber then slays the guardians, and with looting in our hands we get a ton of prismarine materials. Prismarine and its variants contrast very well with the pink cherry tree, so I really wanted a guardian farm. Back at the main base, let's cross the bridge to the expansion area I've made since the 1.20 patch. While not a farm, an important new area is the storage zone, where a very basic item sorter lies. This item sorter works by having a clock constantly push items into a line of hoppers, droppers, and chests, moving it along if the chest can't fit the item. The items to be sorted are placed into the hopper. It then gets pushed into the clock through the hoppers and droppers. The items travel until they reach a slot to fit in. While there are better sorters, this one is very easy to make, and works well enough to sort out clutter from shulker boxes. This item sorter was made by Mysticat. However, I did remove his automatic trigger system, and replaced it with the manual off/on clock. This makes the system actually work, is far more stable, and doesn't need chunk alignment, even if the constant ticking can get annoying. With the lessons learned from the old trading hall, I made a new, smaller trading hall to get some important and missing enchantments. This new one doesn't feature any redstone at all, just using a minecart to transport villagers from the original village, 120 blocks away. Because they all use the same workstation, I don't have to manage that too, as villagers will give up their workstation for a new one if they can't reach it. So now, I can get some really powerful enchantments for a lot of tridents. When I went to the end to get shulker boxes, I learned how to make flying machines. I decided to use that knowledge to make a bamboo and sugarcane farm. This is Lockley's flying machine and it works out of the box with no modifications. I can turn it on, and it will go to the other side and stop there, and I can turn it on the other side again. I can then simply run around to collect the items. I had no need to automate or add hoppers, because that will produce way too many items that I would ever need. This farm already can fill up a double chest easily. And finally, my latest creation is another trading hall, but will only be used in the future. This build was made to house desert villagers, which may have new trades in the next update. While we're not sure what the changes will be, it's nice to have different types of villages and villagers, ready for the future or be used in other things like trading for quartz. For now, it's a beautiful set piece that adds height and depth to my base. And that's all the farms I've made. There's still plenty more things to do, like fighting the wither over here, make new farms, or even optimize old ones. But I hope I've inspired today with my farms and builds. Next time, we'll take a look at the aesthetic of my builds, including builds that aren't farms. That's all for now, and see you next time.